Kia ora everybody, you know who I am. This is Brian Mason. We're at Brian's farm down in Waikari View near Tumarata.
Hi everybody.
And Brian, we're going to talk a bit about fathers today. It's Father's Day on Sunday, and but before we get there, we're not here to talk about farming, but you've got a few calves in here. Well,
Oh yes.
How did the fathers go in siring these calves? Are they good calves?
Oh yes, these are good calves. These calves were actually sired by live sires. They weren't actually inseminated artificially as some of the early ones were. And these calves are, actually some of them have had the privilege of spending time with their actual dad, which is quite amazing on a farm these days. So
Quite unusual.
Yeah, quite unusual. But most of them are taken off fairly early and reared by me here. So yeah.
So it's about 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and I could be presumptuous and say, Brian, this is about the end of your day, isn't it? You know, nice spring morning, afternoon, but I'm guessing it might not be the end of your day.
We're getting there. For a Saturday, I'll try and be a little bit earlier. Good.
But it is a great day today.
Good.
Hey, you and I have got a number of things in common. We are both fathers, not of the same children, I have to say. Different wives, and we're grandfathers as well. But we've had good fathers. We've had good fathers because we've spoken over the years, and good grandfathers. Tell me, you're not the first generation farming in your family?
Oh no. I go back 6 generations. So yeah.
Yep.
Of farmers. So yeah.
Now, how have those men in those days influenced you, particularly your father? But I'm guessing your grandfathers had good influence.
I was very fortunate. I had a grandfather that lived nearby, but I also had 2 other mentors, a great uncle and a second cousin, similar age to my grandfather, who were absolutely mentors. And in a sense, I almost had 3 grandfathers living handy. My paternal grandfather had died very young. I never knew him. He died when my dad was 12. But I had 3 men that filled that role as grandfather figures. So I was very fortunate. They were all really, really good to me and taught me a lot of life skills. And my grandfather taught me a lot about vegetable gardening. The others taught me a lot about different other aspects of farming. And I guess my own dad had it pretty sweet because he had to help the other 3. So that was how it rocked.
And what's your favourite memory of your dad and how he influenced you? It's you to be a dad, not just a farmer, but you being a dad.
Yeah, my dad was full of fun, great sense of humour.
And I'd have to say Brian is a person of great sense of humour as well. A farming poet. I don't know if we're going to get any poetry today though.
Very strong faith, and he was full of fun. He could bring out the best in the worst situation, which in itself is quite a skill. He never really lost it. He was always very placid. I can only probably think of 2 occasions that he lost it, and one was concerning my health. I'd been wrongly diagnosed with a serious twisted bowel, and he had more idea than what the local GP seemed to have as to what was wrong. And Dad expressed his feelings after that episode. But no, he was full of fun. And he taught me to make the best of all situations and always be there to help the underdog, you know. And I think so that was really good. He probably wasn't a man of a lot of words. He wasn't a public speaker, but he drew people towards him. On Dad's death, his funeral was unreal. The number of people that turned up, we just couldn't contain them in the facilities we had there. So I think his life was a witness to a lot of locals, and Yep.
And you know, the way we're influenced by our dads, and not through the words but through their actions.
Yeah.
I know too. You know, I'm privileged to know your mum, and she speaks well of your dad.
Yeah.
But the way he treated your mum would have influenced you in the way you treat your
Yes.
wife and
Yes.
and other
Yeah.
relationships. Yeah.
Definitely, Colin. Dad had many favourite attributes. One was he'd always say something went really wrong. He'd say, like a piece of machinery or a vehicle or whatever else, man made it, man can fix it, and you give a chuckle, and you know, don't stew over it. And when it comes to people, it was people always had to be first.
Yeah.
And he if something went really, really wrong, where a lot of people would swear and curse, Dad would just turn around and laugh. He'd laugh it off. So there's a better day tomorrow. Yeah. And we got through. And I tend to follow that same trait. Must admit, sometimes when you're really, really tired and wrung out at the end of the day, and you're short-staffed or whatever reason, it's a little bit hard to stay upbeat. But I just think of my dad, and that helps me do it.
Yeah. And how did he influence you to be a better father? Or put it another way, can you recall times when you've been a father, you've thought, gee, this is just like my father?
It comes back to you when your kids show appreciation to you, and then you know that you're doing something right. My daughters will both, they'll ring up and text or whatever, and they'll be, love your dad, always love your dad, and just a continual, you know, keeping in touch, keeping that communication open, and I know then that I've meant to them something what my dad meant to me.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where it filters through. Yeah. I haven't had a son, so I probably, it's a little bit different having girls. They're great daughters. But probably a son carries on his father's traits more, be they good or bad. So yeah, it's probably more reflected through a son than daughters. But I've got a grandson and son-in-laws. So yeah,
good.
so
Yeah.
all good.
All good.
Yeah,
All good. And I'm sure you do a wonderful job fathering all of them.
Yes, well, I've got a few step ones as well. So that's all good and interesting. And yeah.
Just to wrap up, I know that you're a person of faith, and you've already used words. I'm not sure if it was the word gratitude, but you're thankful for the way your father taught you. What would be a word or a phrase that you would use that you could use as a prayer to say thank you?
Probably, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Thanks, Dad. Yeah.
And down on the farm, as Fred Dagg would say, to conclude, something about Trev, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. She'll be right, Trev.
She'll be right. That's our amen to it. She'll be right, Trev. Yep. Hey, Brian, thanks very much for sharing about being a dad and the faithfulness of our fathers. And there's a lot of things we do have in common with good dads who have given us a good start in life. So wish you well as a grandfather.
Yep. Thanks, Colin.
And with the finishing off the day.
Very good.
Anything else? They'll edit those.